This is where we used to live, and shifted over here when I was 14, and we shifted from here when I was either 19 or 20, I just forget now. And when we shifted over here, Dad rented the property here, was about 500 or 600 acres, and had 300 or 400 head of sheep. And the drought set in from 1942 to 1945. That was through the war years, and took every penny Dad had, lost everything, and went into Bendigo sanatorium with a shadow on his lungs, and was there for 6 months. And well, he didn't do much work again, although he did work again for about 7 or 8 years, but only a lighter kind of work. But anyway, this is where I spent quite a few years here.
And so was there a house here or something?
Yes,
so where was your house?
About 200 yards up the track there, behind where those bales of hay there. The house was there. And that was where Mum was sewing in one of the back rooms, and heard a bit of a sound behind her, and looked up, and there's about a foot of a tiger snake coming out of the wall, right up in the corner. There was a bit of a hole. Anyway, Mum went out underneath the snake, got a container of boiling water, came back in, the snake was still there, and threw the boiling water over it, and the snake disappeared inside. And anyway, a few days later there was this awful smell lingered in the house for a few weeks, and evidently the snake had died up in the roof.
Oh,
and
terrible.
Also here,
That is terrible.
the dust storms in 1944 were so bad that the sky turned inky black at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and when the dust storms had passed, the dust used to be rippled along the lino in the front room, and Mum used to sweep it out. And underneath the house there was a cellar, and it was brick lined and whitewashed, and it'd be 120, and I repeat that, 120
degrees. In what year?
And this was in 1944.
Degrees Fahrenheit.
And it used to be a big flap on the veranda, and you'd open it, and as I say, it was 120 up under the iron veranda, and down in the cellar it was 70 degrees, a drop of 50 degrees, and it was beautiful and cool, and you could set jellies or keep the cream there. And we used to have an old dog, old Shusha was his name, and at 8 o'clock in the morning he'd be laying beside the cellar door, and you'd lift the door, down he would go, and then about an hour later he'd be whinging up under the door. He'd got cold, and you'd lift the cellar door and he'd race out and lay in the boiling sun for about 10 minutes, and then he'd be back wanting to get down the cellar again. Yeah, so that's just a little bit of the stories of that, and there's a hell of a lot more, believe you me, but we won't go into it. How's that?
Yeah. Is that where you used to sit with pillowcases over your head during the dust storm?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, okay.